Okay, guys, here is another comment from @MellyGermany9479 on my YouTube channel from about 11 days ago. This comment was made on the video that I posted called Zay Frank Approved, where I show some sketches that I did of Zay Frank and his father Joachim Frank, and some other suspects that I have been researching that I think are members of this child abuse cult. It's a cult that I think essentially worships the devil in many faces and many forms and names. And I believe that they engage in incest and just, abusing children wherever they find the opportunity. Since I began speaking about this on my YouTube channel, releasing videos about it, roughly like 2 years ago, maybe about in the fall of 2022, right? So yeah, about 2 years ago. I've been getting harassed by multiple people, multiple commenters on my channel. Whereas before I began releasing these videos, I had next to no people, I think, visiting my channel, and or at the very least, they were not really, there was maybe 1 or 2 comments total on all of the videos on my channel for the years and years that I had a handful of videos up, which were basically like concerts at Philly. Anyway, this particular person, MellyGermany9479, has been haunting my YouTube channel for the better part of 2 years since I began releasing videos about this cult. That again, I think that Zay Frank is a member of. I think that his father, Joachim Frank, is a member of. So on and so forth. I've made plenty of other videos talking about other suspects and why I suspect them. I think that this fairly perfectly demonstrates a point that I've been making. So let's go ahead and read this short little comment that Melly Germany left, which is, wow, what a thing to say. Sorry, I never abused kids. So note that abused is spelled out very strangely with a couple of periods between the A and the BU, and then a couple of periods between the BU and the SED. And then comma, never would condone it either. Achieved financial independence by working and enjoyed working. So I've said in the past in previous videos, and I will say again, that I do think that members of this cult, at the very least, they attempt to avoid outright lying when they can. But because they're cluster B personality disordered people, and I don't know how many of you have had experience dealing with people like that, psychopaths, sociopaths, or just garden variety narcissists. Particularly if you've ever been in a relationship with one, you'll know what I'm talking about when I say they look for every kind of loophole that they can find to get away with whatever it is they're trying to get away with. If it, lying or, like not keeping their word. So kind of opposite sides of the same coin. They will purposely leave loopholes in their promises or statements so that they can utilize them later if they don't feel like keeping their word to you, so on and so forth. So I've recently made several videos picking apart very long, involved comments that were left on my YouTube channel by this person who goes by the handle MellyGermany9479. She has left comments on my YouTube channel that are paragraphs long, several paragraphs long. So even though her YouTube handle implies that she is probably from Germany, she seems to have a fairly good handle on the English language. I have pointed out here and there a few grammatical errors, but nothing quite like this. The whole abused, the word abused, the way she broke that up with periods, that doesn't make any sense. Does that make any sense to any of you? It doesn't make any sense to me. Other than to say that it seems as if she is trying to use one of those loopholes. So if she doesn't spell out the word abused properly, if she puts these periods in between the letters of the word abused, it's as if she's not really using the word abused, right? So it's as if she's not really lying. In case you haven't guessed already, I've said this in recent videos that I released as early as, as recently as 1 or 2 days ago, I suspect this at Melly Germany 9479 person of being a member of this network of child abusers, incestuous child abusers, child traffickers, for several reasons. Basically, she popped up on my YouTube channel very shortly after I started releasing some of my first videos about this cult that I've been researching and talking about. She goes out of her way to write very long, involved comments that pick me apart on my YouTube channel. They're clearly aimed at making me seem unintelligent. That was the point of the videos, the previous videos, recent videos, where I was picking apart her arguments and turning the whole thing around on her and showing the audience in general how stupid she actually is. And basically just trying to discredit me publicly and or pick apart my morale, so on and so forth. But again, so technically, if you wanted to get really technical about it, really technical about it, even if this person, whoever they are, whether it's an actual woman in Germany named Melly, or some American dude or Japanese dude or whatever, who's a cross-dresser and hates women or something like that, one way or the other, whoever this person is, they're technically not using the word abused here in this comment. Wow, what a thing to say. Sorry, I never abused kids. Never would condone it either. Achieved financial independence by working and enjoyed working. I don't even know what that last sentence has to do with the video I made. This particular video. I don't recall specifically everything I said in this video. I think it was a fairly short video, but it was just me essentially flipping through some of my sketches that I did this year for a series called Visualize a Better Future, where I sketched a bunch of my suspects who I believe are child abusers, sexual child abusers, and I drew them wearing prison clothing and in a prison setting, in prison cells, essentially. Or I began to. They're not entirely finished yet. And I don't recall saying anything about financial independence or working and enjoying work or anything like that in this particular video. I don't know why he, whatever, felt the need to bring that issue up at all. But again, I can tell you that I'm about 95% certain that he, whatever it is that's leaving this comment, specifically, intentionally chose to write out the word abused in that way so that it's technically not the word abused. All right? For those of us who speak English and are native English speakers, we can pretty easily suss out that she's saying the word abused, but she's breaking it up with periods. For this reason, but for most people, they wouldn't understand why the hell she would be saying that. She's spelling it correctly if you remove the periods. It's so you know how to spell this word correctly. Why would you include the periods, honey? It doesn't make any sense until you understand that these people kind of seem to have at least somewhat of a code, or at the very least, they try very hard. It seems to me, from my observing them and from my researching them and trying to understand the way they operate and why they operate the way they do, it does seem to me that they, at the very least, try to avoid lying outright. And so they have all kinds of tricks of the trade to do that. And one of them is they will misspell certain words in their comments or texts, so that technically, very, very technically, they couldn't be held accountable. It would not be a totally truthful statement, or they couldn't be held to that statement 100%, because then they could point to this word, that, again, for most native English speakers, we understand that this spells out abused if you just remove the periods. But technically, if you were being held to this in some kind of, I don't know, spiritual court of law, she could possibly point to that one word there and say, well, that's not technically a word. It's A, period, period, B-U, period, period, S-E-D, period, B-U, period, period, S-E-D. Like, there's no reason. I don't care that she's from Germany. Again, she has a good enough grasp on our language. Go ahead and go back and look at the recent videos I just made in the last few days, where I literally have up on my screen, I'm screenshot video recording her comments, some of her comments on my channel. And she practically writes short essays in the comments. And you can see she makes like one or two slightly off grammatical errors. Like she writes in the word lives instead of lives. Literally the difference between using the letter V and the letter F. But nothing as blatant as A.B.U.SED. There's no, I don't care how much of it, I don't care if you have a terrible grasp on another language. You're not going to do something like that. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Think about it, guys. Think about it in terms of if you were trying to write out this comment in a language that you had somewhat of a grasp on, but not a perfect grasp on. Would you ever write out one of the words like this? Likely not. You might misspell it slightly. You might be off by a letter or two, but you're not going to do, A.B.U.SED. So again, it seems that they try to avoid outright lying. So this is how they lie, by telling the truth, sort of. Or this is just one of the shades of lying that they engage in, essentially, is they will misspell certain things on purpose. But this is just so blatant. It's not even just off by like a letter. It's again, I encourage my readers, my listeners, my viewers who are thinking about this critically and analytically, who are not a part of this network, who maybe have some sort of investment in protecting children from being abused. That would be nice. That would be lovely to know that I actually have some genuine viewers and not just a bunch of child abusing stalkers. I would encourage you guys to really sit and think on this for a few minutes. How much sense does it make to you, even if English is not her first language, that she would spell out abused in that way? Am I missing something here? Can one of you guys see something that perhaps I'm missing? Is she making a joke that I'm not getting? I don't think so, but it aligns itself with previous incidents where I've stumbled upon and realized, this person has no reason to do this way, other than to technically they don't want to lie. I've pointed this out, I think most predominantly and most recognizably and understandably in my previous videos from 2023, roughly, where I'm talking about Shmuel Asher, Dr. Shmuel Asher, and his theories on flat Earth. And I pick him apart, and I just lay him bare. So please go back and look in early 2023, roughly. So I would say maybe around like January of 2023, around there. January, possibly early February, very early, like first week of February, 2023. I released 1 or 2 videos about Dr. Shmuel Asher. And I believe one of them is called Shmuel Asher is a Schmuck. And this guy has a cult following of people, and he's trying to convince them all that, you know, the earth is flat, but he does it very cleverly. He doesn't outright say that he thinks that the earth is flat. He uses very clever language, and he words his argument in such a way where he's not outright lying. And then I proceed to pick him apart and basically show how, you know, obviously the earth is not flat. And he's obviously lying, but he's not outright lying. He's being very careful and tricky about not outright lying. He's being very careful with his wording. So, for example, he says something along the lines of, he knows that the earth is not spinning, and so therefore the opposite must be true. And then I point out, well, technically the earth is not spinning, because spinning and rotating are 2 different forms of movement. In physics, spinning and rotating are 2 different types of movement. And technically, if you want to get real technical about it, the earth, planet Earth, is rotating around an axis. It is not spinning. It's technically not spinning. But Dr. Shmuel Asher, per his own words and admittance, has, you know, several degrees. He's gone to many schools. He's studied, you know, all these different topics and subjects, and he's a very well-educated, very intelligent man. Well, he should understand what there's several, I get into it in many ways in that video. I won't get into it too much here, but Shmuel Asher is one of my suspects, one of the members, I think, that are operating in this cult. And again, he's a really big, he offers up a lot of evidence. His particular case suggests that these people really do go out of their way to word themselves very carefully, things that they say very carefully, the things that they write very carefully, to make sure that they are not outright lying, but they are still trying to trick people. So there's the rub, right? They're trying to trick people and mislead people into believing lies, into believing things that are not accurate, whilst also trying very hard not to outright lie themselves. And so this is one of the ways that they do that, is they leave comments like this where they write out the word abused in a weird way like this, where technically, if you wanted to pick it apart, technically she's not using the word abused. She's using the word A.bu.sed. That's not really a word. I don't know what it is. So she's essentially saying, wow, what a thing to say. Sorry, I never kids. Or sorry, I never boo, soot, kids. Never would condone it either. Achieved financial independence by working and enjoyed working. Like, again, and that last sentence just makes absolutely no sense within the context of the video itself. This person is whoever they are, whatever they are. I'm not even 100% sure it's a woman at this point, but they are certainly, I'm like 99.9% sure at this point that they're a member of this cult. And they know what they're doing in terms of being careful about their language and leaving loopholes. so that they can't technically be held accountable for the things they're saying. They can't be held accountable for lying or misrepresenting themselves. So please be mindful about that. And while I'm here thinking about it, I'm just going to do a little thumbs down, because you're a fraud. I don't know who you are or what you are. I suspect there's a very good chance that you're Hosea Jan Frank, Zay Frank, pretending to be some chick from Germany. Zay Frank, as far as I know, he likely has dual citizenship with Germany, even though he has lived in the United States of America for a long time. Again, as far as I know. But his father was born and raised in Germany, so pretty sure Zay Frank has dual citizenship. He even says in one of his videos that his first language was German. So it wouldn't, and also, I've worked out that most of my suspects and I have a handful, I have a good amount of suspects so far that I've identified as being members of this cult, or almost certainly being members of this cult. Most of them are Caucasian and of German descent, just like Zay Frank, just like, if this person, Melly Germany, even is an actual woman, commenting on my YouTube channel. Well, from the picture, she appears to be Caucasian, and Melly Germany suggests that she's from Germany or in Germany, so on and so forth. So this creature, whatever it is, follows a lot of the same patterns as my other suspects. Yeah. So, just giving you guys an idea of the kind of shit I have to deal with, and the kind of shit, if you're interested at all, in some real life heroic business, if you don't want to be the kind of person who just sits around playing video games in your mommy's basement, telling yourself you're a hero when you're not doing anything of any real consequence, if you would like to actually make a difference in this world, or at least attempt to, well, then I suggest you get on board with my hunting down of these people, essentially. And I use the term hunting down really in a more academic sense. I have next to no interest in meeting any of them face to face, except maybe in a court of law, testifying against them. Other than that, but, I am trying to make an actual difference in the world. I'm attempting it, at least. Whether or not I'll be successful, that remains to be seen, I guess. By doing something real with my life, instead of wasting all of my time watching television and playing video games and buying things. I am actually attempting to expose a cult network of child abusers that I do think commit incest within their own families. And also I think they abuse any children they can get their hands on and they feel they can get away with abusing. I do think that they number in, at the very least, the thousands, if not, a few million worldwide, if we're talking worldwide. And I do think that they operate worldwide. And I think they've been in operation for a few centuries now, because they seem to be generational, as in this cult seems to have passed down their belief system and their traditions from generation to generation for several generations now. I've already mentioned that I think that Zay Frank and his father, Joachim Frank, are both members of this cult. So that suggests that Joachim Frank was likely a member well before his son was ever born. And Zay Frank was born into the cult and was just raised in it. And I do think that it goes at least as far back as the beginnings of the Frankist movement, although possibly well before that. And the Frankist movement, you could say, in one sense, got started off in the late 1700s, roughly around the same time that the United States of America became a country. But even before that, technically, it was started off a century before in the 1600s by Sabbatai Zevi, and then was rejuvenated by Jacob Frank in the 1700s. Because I do think that at least some of these people are connected with the Frankist movement. I suggest you do a little bit of research on the Frankist movement if you've never heard of it. Oh my goodness, I don't want to prattle on and on and on. I feel like I have probably lost the attention of at least 50% of my audience at this point within this very video, because unfortunately I feel like most of you don't have very good attention spans. Oh, I wish you did. Children would be doing a lot better in the world today if that were the case. Anyway, yeah, sorry. I'm gonna wrap this one up. I just started off wanting this to be a short little video pointing out, just adding a little bit of evidence to something I've been saying for a while, which is these people go out of their way to make built-in loopholes in the things that they say and the things that they write, so that they can't be technically held accountable, whether in an actual court of law, in the 3D physical world, or possibly in, I don't know, some kind of spiritual heavenly court of law, what have you. It doesn't matter. Again, if you're a native English speaker, you know what she's saying here. Even with those little dots between the letters and the word, she's saying the word abused. But I guess somehow in fairy tale never fucked up idiot psycho narcissist land, they think that they're going to trick the highest of the highest powers, and they think that the highest of the highest powers is not going to understand what their meaning is behind their words, which I think, it would just be even more insulting to that entity, right? It's like think of it as, if you're a mother, anybody out there who's ever been an adult who's had to take care of like a toddler, and the toddler thinks that they're being sneaky and thinks that they're getting away with doing something bad just by telling you like a lie that barely holds up. And you're just like, oh, that's cute that you thought that would work. You're grounded. Like that. So again, I've been saying for the last several videos that Melly Germany, this person, whoever they are, is a total freaking moron. But I think this just demonstrates my point even more. If she, he, whatever it is, thinks that they're going to, in the highest court of judgment, in whatever spiritual realm there is, thinks that they're going to get away with this. If they think that God or the goddess or whatever out there is that's ultimately going to judge them, won't know the difference. All I can say to that is, like, you're just insulting them. You're suggesting that they're a total freaking moron, and I think that's just gonna get you spanked harder, honey. So, all right, bye-bye. Have a good night.